Hey everyone, my name's Derrick Ivey. I'm a board certified clinical hypnotherapist, researcher, and intuitive. I'm here today to help you develop more positive thinking in your life. So let's get right into this. I'm going to help you find some ways to think of things in a more positive light, how to cultivate more positive energy in your life, and how to raise your emotional set point. So, all of us have what's called an emotional set point. And what that is it's our normal level of consciousness that if we were to take all of the moments in our life and we were to average all of those out, that is about where we would stand, is at this baseline place. And why is this important to raise your emotional baseline? It's important because you've been around these circles of spiritual talks, of manifestation, of law of attraction, all of that stuff. And you've noticed that a lot of times you hear that you need to be in an elevated emotional state in order to really manifest the things that your soul wants to manifest. Because if you're in a negative state, you're more likely to attract negative circumstances. If you're in a positive state, you're in alignment with those positive circumstances. So we all have one of these happiness emotional set point baselines. And those baselines are a byproduct of all of our experiences, all of our beliefs, the way that we were taught things early on in life. There might even be some influences in there from past lifetimes. But the bottom line is we're not stuck at an emotional set point. If we don't do anything about it, are we likely to stay at the emotional set point we're at? Yes. And if you love where you're at, then that's wonderful. But if you're looking to raise that and be happy more of the time, be in positive energy more of the time, just know that that's absolutely attainable. It's achievable. It's realistic. And I'm going to tell you how to do this. So let's think first about as far as emotional baselines go. If someone were to win the lottery, they would probably go to a higher level of happiness and they would be flying on cloud nine for a certain time. But inevitably, they're going to revert back most likely to that emotional set point unless there were changes made on a deep subconscious level through that experience that changed how they viewed the world, changed how they interacted with life. But most likely, we're, as humans, we're all kind of set in our ways until we consciously shine the light of consciousness on it and say, I want more, I want better for me. So, on the other side of this, there's, let's say that someone had a death in the family, they're probably going to lower to a lower and more somber state of consciousness. They might have a lot of really strong negative emotions, but most of the time, even after some time goes on, they raise back to that emotional set point. So, as human beings, we are very resilient. We can have all of these different experiences happen to us, and we're probably going to come back pretty close to the same emotional set point. So the magic happens in raising that emotional set point, and there's absolutely ways that you can influence this starting today. So all of our thoughts are attractors of other thoughts. Like attracts like. So if you're having all of these thoughts about I'm not good enough, something's wrong with me, that's going to attract more thoughts into your experience that match those thoughts because our subconscious mind, you can think of this as a really, really complex computer program. Us as human beings, we are so much more complex than any computer. We are the most complex things in existence, really. Think about all of the things that your human body does for you in a day, all of the cell activity, your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your stomach, your digestive system, all of that. There's a lot going on there. And in the subconscious mind, the same thing is happening. There's a lot of processes going on that are below the level of looking. So, if we can consciously bring ourselves into a space of more positive thoughts, that's great. But a lot of times that does not stick because it's not on a deep enough subconscious level. So, the first thing to do if you are thinking, I'm really wanting to be a more positive person, I want to be in positive energy more of the time, then the first step is to really love and accept yourself where you're at in this moment. And the reason for that is because if we're not accepting where we're at in this moment, then we're resisting what's here in this moment. And that resistance is going to bring in more resistance. And it's just going to keep piling up and piling up until it's blinded you from your positive vision. So we want to start undoing all of that energetic material that's piled up, where we want to start undoing all of those things that are holding us back. And the first step to that is really loving and accepting yourself where you are right now, letting be what is right now, because looking at that from a loving lens and an accepting lens, we calm our nervous systems down. We have more solutions that are available to us because we're on a different wavelength. We're in the energy of gratitude. If you could add gratitude into your present moment, even better, because that's going to start attracting more evidence of grateful thoughts. And remember that our subconscious mind really is our friend, and it always has a positive intent, but sometimes things are running unconsciously, and it's always just going to give us the experience that we're expecting. So if we're always expecting negative things to happen, it's going to help us by finding more evidence that we are right. Our subconscious mind loves to affirm that we are right. And that's what it's doing. It's finding evidence in your reality of why you are correct in your thinking. So whether you say you have a positive mindset or you say you have a negative mindset, ultimately in the subconscious mind's eyes, you are correct. So the magic to shifting into a more positive emotional baseline is little baby steps, a little bit at a time, is how we shift ourselves into a more pure positive energy state. Little pieces at a time is how we do it. So I wonder if you could find some small areas in your life that you could start thinking more positively in. It seems really daunting sometimes to think that we have to solve our whole life in one day. And this is it for me. I have to do it all today. I have to figure this all out today. And that's not true. You have every moment is an opportunity to shift it. every moment we have a choice of whether we want to apply the lens of looking for the positive in something or to apply the lens of looking at the negative in something. And if we were to simplify all of this down, it's we're either going towards love or we're going towards fear in every moment. We're constantly being subconsciously reprogrammed at every single moment as you watch your phone, as you watch TV, as you read books, as you talk to people. All of these things are influencing your subconscious mind. And the change doesn't happen in one sweep, it happens through many, 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 many reinforcements. And so the best way to start moving the needle in the right direction is to really break it down into micro wins. Look for ways that you can really connect with your positive thinking in smaller ways. So, if you were to think of your life as a pie chart, you have work, you have your relationships, you have your finances, you have your health, all of these things play into your well being. So maybe there's one area you could look at in your health that you could think of things a little more positively. Maybe you've been thinking really negatively about health issues that are coming up for you and you're feeling a little hopeless and you keep feeding these thoughts of hopelessness and you keep worrying about the worst case scenarios. I wonder if you just committed to just today, I'm going to have a positive outlook about this. And so then you might think, well, I'm really grateful that I found a good doctor that can help me with this. I'm really grateful that I have friends and family that are here to support me in this. I'm really grateful that it's not as bad as it could be. Sometimes that's a huge one. There was a study that I heard about in one of Tara Brach. She's a Buddhist meditation teacher, and I heard in one of her talks that she was talking about this study that they applied to looking at people's behavior. And this study was about emotional set points. And they did an experiment where they applied these different suggestions to different groups of people. They had a control group, they had this one group in particular look at all of the things that they're glad that they're not. So I'm glad I'm not in prison. I'm glad that I don't have a worse illness. I'm glad that I'm not homeless. And that has a lot of power. So if you're having a hard time finding things in your life to tangibly apply positive thinking and gratitude towards, then really think about the things that you're glad that you don't experience, because that is huge. That is absolutely huge to look at those things that, if we were all to put all of our problems in the middle of a room, we would probably be pretty grateful that we have the problems we have because we're familiar with them. There's a certain comfort level in that, right? But we can change that. We can become a more optimistic leaning person. We can become a more pure positive energy leaning person. And we don't have to stay in that state where we think our life is not working. So as you begin doing these little baby steps, the key is really to get that momentum really going. So you have one little win, you have one thing that you used to think more negatively about, and you turned it around into a positive. Celebrate that. Start celebrating all of the little wins that you can in your life. Celebrate making the bed, celebrate cleaning your dishes, celebrate all of the tiny little things, celebrate getting through the workday, being nice to everyone. Sometimes that's more challenging than you might think. Um, Now, the other thing that is really going to play into your positive energy and your positive thinking is your surroundings. So, if you are always in surroundings that are constantly reminding you of the negatives of life, that are constantly reminding you of where you've gone wrong, where you're not good enough, where someone else is better than you, blah, 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 that's where you're going to live vibrationally because the subconscious mind doesn't take into account what you're capable of. It takes into account what you are giving it to experience and together. So think about the surroundings that you're in and a good indicator for whether or not a surrounding or a circumstance is good for you overall or not is how do you feel? It's so simple. Our bodies have so much innate wisdom and they always know what's right for us. Even if we, our conscious mind, we question that, our bodies don't question that, and our bodies know exactly what's good for us. So think about all of the places that you go throughout a day. And when you leave those places, do you feel filled up or do you feel drained? Do you feel like your energy is boosted or do you feel like your energy is zapped? Start putting yourself in more circumstances that you're going to be around people who really lift you up and make you more able to be grateful for your life and what's going on in your life right now. And sometimes it just takes a good perspective shift, and we get so caught up in our thoughts that we think everything we're experiencing we are doomed to experience for the rest of our life. But it's helpful just to realize and take a little bit of a perspective break and just remind yourself, hey, this is not forever. Because maybe there's some places where you can't just remove yourself from. Maybe you have a job and that's serving a function in your life and you need that income from the job or whatever, but you can change the way that you think about it. And then that's going to change the actual thing. It's going to change your actual experience because where attention goes, energy flows. So have that perspective. If it's something that isn't great for your life, that you don't really enjoy, that's okay. You can do this. You can get through it in a positive way by reminding yourself, this is just where I'm at right now. And I'm opening up to more every single day, every single moment. I am moving the needle in the direction that I want it to go. And I'm aligned with my path. I'm aligned with my gratitude. I'm aligned with my purpose. Positive thoughts create a positive future. So the more that you can dream, the more that you can dream with the lid off, the more you are going to experience these higher states of consciousness, the more beautiful circumstances that are going to be attracted into your world. And it really is always about right now. It's always about right now. There's no other moment than right now. Every moment that you've ever experienced your entire life happened in the now. So this is no different. And you can start right now by really looking for the positive things in your experience at this moment. That's going to begin to grow. It's going to begin to grow. That means even being positive when a negative thought inevitably would creep in. You can be the observer of that thought. And maybe it's for right now just about you recognizing those thoughts a little more easily because then you're beginning to shine that light of consciousness on those processes, and that gives you a good chance of shifting it. But if you're just blind in the dark, then you aren't going to see that, and you'll most likely stay where you're at. So, the other thing is just looking for the positive lesson in every single thing. Have you ever heard of that quote? Agree that the adverse situation is good and it will fall away at its own accord. And that's so true. There's always something, there's always a silver lining for you. And it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. There's something positive that you can look at, you can choose to look at no matter what situation you're going through. Some situations, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but it doesn't change the situation in a positive way by just stewing about it and being negative about it and losing hope. That's only going to keep you stuck in the mud. So, really, as best you can, and this is not about ignoring the negative emotions that come up because we live in a balance of the light and the dark. As long as we're in these human bodies in this experience, we're going to have different circumstances. We're going to have things that are not fun. We're going to experience bad negative energy sometimes. So feel that, honor that, don't resist it. But as soon as you feel that fully and you cry what you need to cry, you yell if you need to yell, as soon as that's done, flip it into a positive and start moving forward. That's going to serve you. The next part of this, if you are really truly committed to raising your emotional baseline, then daily alignment is a must. You need to find some ways to check in with yourself every single day. For myself, I have an energetic alignment routine that I teach to all of my clients and my students in QSM. And it's a really wonderful routine that aligns your energy and body, mind, and spirit and connects you with your soul's purpose on a daily basis. So find something like that for yourself. Maybe you find that in meditation, maybe going on a walk, maybe going to the gym, maybe doing EFT tapping, maybe doing breath work. There's so many different ways that you can check in with you. But if this is a commitment that you've made, first you need to make that solid commitment. This is what I'm doing. No more room for excuses. This is what I'm doing. The time is now. I'm doing it now. And that conviction in itself has a lot of power. But then we need to check in with it every single day because the nature of ourselves, of our subconscious mind, is really to get pulled all over the place. So we have to bring ourselves back in. And I think of this as walking a dog, and the dog kind of goes off to the side, and you just gently bring that dog back down the path. And that's what we can do with ourselves. We don't have to be rude to ourselves. We don't have to be mean to ourselves or other people. We can just observe that that's what's going on and then pull ourselves back into that center place. And that's going to be your benefit for doing a daily alignment practice. And I don't know what that looks like for you, but I know that there is something that you will be able to find that is going to connect you with that intention every day. Then you're going to notice really small baby steps, and you're going to start noticing that you respond differently to the same exact situations in your life. So I have a client that she is doing so wonderful now. I had her in my old Stabilize Your Soul program years ago, and she did really well. And then she fell off the proverbial wagon and she was back into her old cycles. And the reason why she went back into those old cycles is because she was feeling so good that she kind of forgot to keep doing this alignment. But then what happened is it took her all the way back down into that dark and fiery pit. So I just gently reminded her to get back on her daily alignment, and I supported her in that. And I reminded her that the magic is not in these outcomes that we think we want, because we don't even know what's best for us as human beings. We think we know what's best for us, but really the universe will figure out what's best for us. And it's always going to be so much better than what we could try to fabricate with our limited understanding of this reality. So she got back on the alignment routine. I told her be process oriented, not result oriented. And she had a meditation app on her phone, and she began meditating again every single day. She began doing her entire energetic alignment routine every single day, and things started shaping up for her in her reality. And now she's getting ready to do some really exciting things in her life. She just got a new apartment. She's starting her own business in the healing arts. And that all came as a byproduct of her getting back onto her alignment. Did she know that all of these things were coming? No, because when she was in that dark place, she didn't even know which way was up, and she didn't even know how she was going to get through that day, let alone make all these accomplishments. But what she did right was she reached out, and she was willing to be open to get help. And she let herself be open to my suggestion to become more process oriented and less result oriented. And then she just got right into the process, and the universe spit out this beautiful picture in her life, and she's doing better than she's ever done. So that's the magic in this daily alignment, is we align with the process, and then the results are going to speak for themselves. Physical exercise and movement is absolutely huge. If you're trying to raise your emotional set point, think about the level of physical movement and activity that is currently in your life. And you probably are not moving as much as you'd like if you're in a more negative space. So think about what physical movement does for the body, and all of the feel good brain chemicals that come through. Think about the sense of accomplishment. Think about getting fresh air, sunshine, vitamin D. So there's a lot of different factors in just increasing your physical movement, right? So that's absolutely, if you were to begin doing this every single day, getting out and doing something for your physical movement every single day, absolutely that's going to raise your emotional set point because you're going to be benefiting from those boosts and you're going to be benefiting from the feeling of accomplishment. All of those things are going to feed into it. The next thing is look at your physical space. And speaking of that same wonderful client that I was just talking about, this is something else that she did to really change her reality is she used to be more of a disorganized person and she totally cleaned up her reality at her house and her car. And think about everyone who is successful has a certain level of order to them. So if you have a lot of disorder in your life, then inevitably that's going to spill over into everything else. So clean up your space, do feng shui, get trash out of there. That's all going to help you so much. And just bring new energy into your life. And that could be the form of getting new magnets for your fridge, getting a new wall hanging to put up, or just rearranging your current vibe in your house. Take everything off the walls and put it all back up. Just bring new energy in. The more that we see the same surroundings and the same everything, it's like our brains are on autopilot. We're not really reaching for more. So stir the pot, make new energy in your life, bring it in. That's in your power. The outcome might not be in your power, but bringing the new energy in absolutely is. You can even cleanse your house with some sage sticks, with Palo Santo. All of those things are really going to help you to bring new energy in. And just your intention to bring new energy in will do so. Also, think about what are you programming yourself with every day? What is the media that you watch? What is the social media that you follow? What is the type of things that you align with on a daily basis? What are you allowing to program you? You know what those shifts are for you. So start making those just again, though, one by one, and celebrate every single little thing because that's going to give you this wild sense of accomplishment that just keeps building and building and building. And before you know it, you are in a whole new reality. Enlist help. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, it's not encouraged to do this life thing alone. As humans, we were made to have connections with everyone around us. We were made to help each other. We weren't meant to do everything and figure everything out on our own. We were meant to share in that with our community. So enlist help. Maybe it's going to help someone else and inspire someone else. If they're helping you stay accountable to move into a new positive level of thinking, then of course it's going to boost you up and it's going to boost them up. Enlist help, enlist professional help. Do you know how many wonderful healers are out there right now who are available to help you to make this shift in your life? There's tons of them. Find one that resonates with you. Um, Tell a better story about your circumstances in life. It's all a story. You know, we tell ourselves all of these stories all the time that aren't necessarily even true, but those stories create our reality. We might be telling a story like, well, my life is over. I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to get these goals accomplished that I want to. I'm never going to make my blah, blah, blah. Right. And those stories are not necessarily even true when we're thinking about these stories of worry. uh, we tell ourselves stories of bad things that could happen to us. So why not flip it into a positive and think about tell yourself a better story. Marissa Peer, one of my favorite hypnotherapists, she always talks about this concept of tell yourself a better lie because those worrying thoughts, they aren't necessarily absolute truth. They're speculation. So they're technically a lie because they're not even rooted in truth. So it's way more productive to tell yourself a better lie and tell yourself good things that could happen. Thank the universe for things that haven't even shown up yet. All of those things are going to start shifting you to where you're more in alignment with that stuff that is truly yours, that your harmonic signature belongs by. And keep your own side of the street clean. Don't put other people down. A lot of times people put other people down, and what that happens in that is they're really pulling themselves down. Anytime we think negatively about another, we're thinking negatively about ourselves because we filter other people through our own lens. So think about where you're doing that, and it's not about judging you for it. It's just saying, hey, let's look at this, let's observe this pattern, and let's make a different choice. Um, so really look to uplift others. How can you make other people's lives better? There's this old quote that says, if you really want to get what you want, help others get what they want. And that's so true. So look for ways that you can help others get what they want. Also, there's a 3-to-1 ratio for positive thinking. And you can even just put a little reminder in your phone. You can put it on a sticky note, 3-1. And that can just remind you every time that you catch yourself having a negative thought. And that might not be every time, and that's okay. This isn't about being perfect, it's about improving and moving in the right direction. But think about that every time there's a negative thought, could you think of 3 positive thoughts in that area? That's going to start moving the needle in the right direction. And remember that these are all new habits, these are all new ways of being. If you're used to being in a negative state, because that's how a lot of us, that's just how we're programmed from an early age, and it takes intentionality and commitment, time and energy to shift it, but it's absolutely worth every single thing that you do to improve it because that improves your life in a huge way. Consistency and commitment is key. Committing to, yes, this is what I'm doing and no one will stop me. And two, which is and I'm going to be consistent as much as I can. I'm not going to beat myself up if there's the odd day that it doesn't happen. Just keep moving on. Dust yourself off and do it better the next day. It's all a learning opportunity. It's all here happening for us. And if you fall down, just get yourself back up. We all fall down, but just get yourself back up and you will be golden. So I hope this video was helpful for you today. Thank you so, so much for your time, your attention, being a part of this here today. And I'm just sending you a huge hug to energize you on this journey. And I hope you subscribe. I hope you comment. If you had a comment, a question, an experience, I would love to hear that. And I will even address things in future videos. And also, don't forget to share with a friend if someone you know can really benefit from hearing these things and these principles feel free to share all of my contact info with them. And don't forget to have yourself a blessed day, and we'll talk soon.